Yeah, we will discuss today. We are supposed to discuss unit number probably that is four. Probably that could be 4. Let me open that, then you will get the idea. Database management systems and unit number 4. Pretty much important unit, and you have as many number of questions will be there on this particular unit in our final examinations, and it is also one of the uh, easiest and toughest unit in database management systems. So look at this: schema refinement or normalization. Schema refinement or normalization. This is the unit, and this unit will be gets completed within 2 hours as far as myself is concerned. And if any other people will taken into consideration, it could be taken huge amount of time. But as far as my concern, this entire unit will be completed in 2 hours only, maximum of 3, not more than that 3. Okay. However, let us see what exactly this unit will be, why this particular unit will be. Okay. Normally, if you take, we have discussed many issues on practical approach here. In practical approach, we have discussed many examples, and we are struggle to create some kind of tables. I mean, assume some kind of table for creation, and we are struggle to enforce some kind of rules and regulations on the specific columns of that particular table, something like that. So such kind of things are going to be analyze and evaluate all those things by using this particular chapter, this particular unit. Okay. So what is the basic importance of this particular unit will be, let us have a look here. So importance of this particular unit will be, so the process of schema refinement for reducing inconsistency or ambiguity and redundancy. Okay. So inconsistency, let me give you the inconsistency. What is the inconsistency? This means ambiguity. Let me give you what is ambiguity or uncertainty. And let me give you what is redundancy. So how these redundancies will be. So let me give you all these issues. So to reduce these kind of 3 issues, we would like to introduce a particular concept in our database management systems. That concept is normalization. Okay, basically it could be reduces inconsistency, uncertainty, and redundancy. And of course, one more point also be there, that this uncertainty will be called as anomaly. A-N-A-M-O-L-Y. Anomaly. Okay, A-N-O-M-O-L-Y. So anomaly. So this particular anomaly also does eliminated from the schema. Schema in the sense is use table, something like that. Then how it could be? So this is actually bottom-up approach. While doing some kind of operation, then you could understand what is this bottom-up approach here. So normally bottom-up approach in the sense all object-oriented programming kind of operations are called as bottom-up approaches. Okay. So you have create your complete class before going to execute the main program. After creation of the class, you have to execute the things, and then after execution, you maybe create one object and so on and so forth. So, however, that bottom up approach is not that much important at this moment. While designing our applying our normalization, we could come across that one here. Look at this. Normalization will be eliminates duplicates. Already we have given duplicates, and it could be make insertions, updations, deletions with a more efficient way. Okay. So normally DML operations will be done with a more and more efficient way. What is that efficient way in the sense? So how this could be? Let me take one particular example, then you could understand what is that efficient way here. So look at this particular example here. So one college or one institution, educational institution has been, otherwise one educational vertical institution, otherwise some kind of, I could not get the word properly. So let me, so some education institute has been maintaining some kind of, tables or some kind of data, which is seems like this. Okay. So student data, soon they have joined, immediately they have mentioned this particular student data, something like this. In this particular way, the student data has been maintained. 501 Ravi, 502 Hari, again 501 Ravi. So let me give you why we have taken this many times. And then course details. So they have a certain number of courses with them to deal. So course details and the result details also be there here. Okay, result details also be there here. In student details, you please observe here, what do you mean by so a redundancy? What does it mean in the sense? Same kind of data will be represented for many number of times. Same kind of data will be represented for many number of times, will be known as redundancy. Look at this, 501 has been represented for twice. Okay, so if you enter a huge number of data, so then 502, 503, if 502 will be joined too many courses, 502 Hari also be available with the student data, student details for twice or thrice or 10 times, because number of courses are there here. Huge number of courses are there here. Every student have been joining so many number of courses, in the sense many times the student details, same kind of data will be replicated. And if you observe, so 502 and 501, these two people have joined same course. So that is why, so here you could observe, so this particular data will be, course details will be replicated for several times. And 501 and 503, these two people have joined, so same course. So that is why this could be replicated. And 505 has been joined one more course, which is not yet started here. So things will be also be mentioned here. And here, if you consider the results, so they have joined and they have written the examination, so they got the results here. And this course, actually, this so-called course is not available with the institution at that moment. But so now it has been implemented. So .NET also be taken into consideration, but examination was not conducted for that particular student, 505, that is British. So that is why there is no information regarding to examination information here. So here you could observe all these issues have been coming to the picture through this particular database. Look at this inconsistency. What does inconsistency means? So 501, let me take some other color, then this is very easy to understand. 501, so his date of birth will be there here. This is the date of birth. So if 501, if this particular date of birth and the above date of birth will not be same, then obviously data inconsistency will be there, because a person does have only one date of birth with him. While entering some kind of data regarding to one particular person, obviously, so at this particular time, so 10/1/1984, and at a second time, so second time the data has been introduced for this particular Ravi, it might be changed in the sense, obviously, so there might be having some kind of a conflict between these two. There might be having some kind of conflict, of course. So I have some common sense, so that is why I have entered a proper value, so that there is no inconsistency here. Actually, there is no inconsistency. So it does have, there is a possibility while entering some kind of data by the data entry operators, there might have some kind of possibility to have too many number of date of births for one particular person. If you are supposed to enter same person's data for number of times, okay, same person's data for number of times. So same person's data for number of times is redundancy. If redundancy will be there, obviously inconsistency also be available. Okay, uncertainty in the sense, so here you could consider one particular person has joined one course and this course doesn't have any specifications for examination. So because he was joined here, but he was not take any kind of examination, because no question paper, nothing is there, and it was not scheduled. So this particular kind of data will be called as uncertain data. This is called as uncertain data. So if situation could be seen in this way, then you require normalization. So on this particular data, on this particular huge schema, then you have to make in a particular way. You have to make in a particular way. Look at this. If you want to insert the data for 501, 501 will be taken one more course. That means the .NET will be taken by 501. You have to enter 501 Ravi 10184 .NET. NET01 .NET OOPS concepts, and how many number of hours, that is 12 hours, and examination is not there. If you want to enter some kind of data, you have to enter. So during his joining, we could not have any results information during his joining. So just now he was joined into one particular course, you could not enter any kind of data for results. So all these are different kinds of anomalies and uncertainties which are available with so a particular database schema. So wanted to make this particular thing into in a fair way, which is not having inconsistency, which is not having uncertainty, which is not having so redundancy. So so for that we have to operate on this particular table as normalization here. Okay, normalization generally involves, so what exactly normalization could be involves here, in the sense normalization can be involves decomposition operation. Decomposition in the sense this table will be so split into several number of pieces. Several number of pieces, it has been split. So that splitting process will be called as decomposition. Okay, how the splitting could be gets operated? What is the basis to be operate the splitting operation? How could you operate here, in the sense you need to take into consideration of so many issues. So many issues. The issues might be, look at this. Number one, what is that issue here is, okay, I have explained the same issues what we have discussed just before. Irregular storage or repeated storage of data is known as anomaly. Anomaly does means this is the meaning. Okay, we do have so many number of anomalies. So anomaly is insertion anomaly. Insertion anomaly will be gives you repeated number of times same data will be entered, or so you are forced to enter null values. Look at this, repeated times in the sense, so 501 and 501 first two times you have been entered. If 501 will be taken, 501 will be taken all courses within that institution. So for example, 10 courses will be there. All those 10 courses might be taken by the 501. So 501 data will be entered for 10 times. So that is a repeated number of groups which are supposed to be entered, and forced to enter null values. So see here, look at this particular point. Here we are able to enter null values here. And repeated groups could also be specified with one more. This is student details is one repeated group, course detail is another repeated group, and result details will be another repeated group. There are three different types of repeated groups which are available with us. So there are two possibilities which could be there with us. Possibility number one is repeatedly data will be entered. Number two will be forced to enter null values. If these two different kinds of things will be available, then it will be called as insertion anomaly. You could observe this one here. You cannot insert a prospective course which does not have any registered students. For example, I have started one more course. That course is so UI. So if no student is being joined here in UI, user interface techniques, then you are unable to enter the UI details here. If you want to enter some kind of one more row, in the sense a student must be available here. If student could not be available, then you are unable to enter so course details. Only course details cannot be entered. If you want to enter only course details, you must be forced to enter here it is null, here it is null, here it is null, and also here it is null, here it is null, and here also null. Therefore you have to enter so UI 01. So user interface technologies required is some OOPS concept, something like this. Okay. Such kind of things are supposed to be taken into consideration, and sometimes you may be forced to enter some null values here. Okay, so therefore Because of these reasons, insert anomalies will be available. So simply you must remember one particular 2 points in terms of insertion anomaly. Insertion anomaly will be existed when repeated groups of data or redundant data will be available in the table or in the schema, or forced to enter null values. During these two different kinds of situations where exactly insertion anomaly will be there in our table. Okay. Then same kind of data you could see. I have given the same kind of data for several number of times. Update anomaly. If you want to update a particular instance or a particular row of your table, it must be happen exactly once. Okay, it must be happen exactly once. Only once it must be happen. But here, see, I wanted to change the date of birth of student Ravi. So this is one data, but actually it is not 10/1/84. It is 10/2/1988. For example, this could be the data type of date of birth of the student. So you have to update here and you have to update here also. But twice you have to update. This kind of updations are not required. This kind of updations are not required while we have to operate on same kind of entity. On same kind of entity, if you want to perform the updation, it must be happen only exactly once. Okay, so that is the update anomaly could be available if you are supposed to enter the data for update the data for more than one time. And the deletion in the sense, if you are supposed to delete any kind of data, important data could not be deleted. Important data in the sense, let us consider, so I wanted to delete 50505 Bridges data wanted to delete, it is not required, he was joined and he was immediately, so discarded my institution's joining. So I wanted to delete this particular data. If you want to delete this data, very important information which is related to .NET, it is also be deleted. It is also be deleted. Okay. So while any kind of data which is being deleted, that could not be affects the important data which is related to other information. Okay. So if such kind of things will be there, that then delete anomaly will be there. Such kind of things are not there, and the deletion anomaly could not be there. These are the anomalies. So to avoid all these things, what exactly you are supposed to take into consideration and how decomposition process will be done. To avoid these things, first one is functional dependency. You need to take a functional dependency. You need to take so transitive dependency. Any transitive dependencies will be there. You need to take so multi-value dependency into consideration. Multi-value dependency into consideration. And we have key attributes and partial keys already we have discussed. What are the key attributes, what are the partial keys, and what are the foreign keys we have already discussed, and how they could be worked out already we have discussed. Of course, here also we would like to discuss one more time. So by taking the consideration of functional dependency and a transitive dependency, then you may be come across with this decomposition process. How this could be. Let me discuss each and every point in a particular way. So yes, Kishore, what exactly you required? You have raised your hand. If anything, if any question is there, please type in the chat box. Okay, functional dependency. How functional dependency can be. Let us consider there is a relation R. There is a relation R. Within that relation, X and Y are two attributes. X and Y are two attributes. Then Y is functionally dependent on attribute X. It's also capital X only, X. If each value of X is determines exactly one value of Y. Each value of X will be determined, so exactly one value of Y here. If such that is the case, then we would like to consider, so Y is functionally dependent on X. Simply speaking, if you go to any college, or if you go to any let me say any bank or somewhere else, wanted to know about your accounts status, then immediately you maybe go to the teller machine or somewhere else, the person who is responsible, and you maybe give only one value. That value is your account number. If you are supposed to give your account number, you maybe give complete information of your entity, that is your account details and your account status. Okay, your everything, whatever the columns which are available within that bank detail system, then such kind of things will be depends upon the account details here. Okay, so account number, on account number, all other columns have been dependent. So all other columns are functionally dependent on account number. For a better understanding purpose, let me give you something. Let me take one particular example here, then you could understand very easily. However, so this functional dependency will be so shown something like this. Pictorially, it could be represented. So y is functionally depends on x. Y is functionally depends on x. So therefore, x arrow y. X arrow y. Okay, so y is, we have to read out this particular point like this. Y is functionally depends on x. Okay, the left hand side thing will be called as determinant, and the right hand side will be called as a determine. Okay, based on the value of x, you can determine the value of y. Then that is why it is called as functional dependency. Look at this. So okay, you can read out. I'll keep this slide for you for a while. So x value is supposed to be determined exactly one value of y. So that is why x is called as a determinant and y is called as a determinant. You please remember these two words, because these two words are very important while we are talking something about fourth normal form, 4NF. Okay. Now, for example, we'd like to consider one other relation other than what I have shown you in the table form. Other relation I'd like to consider a report. So a register number, course code, much both. So register number, course code, course name. This is course name. This is faculty name. This is room number, and this is marks, and this is grade. Okay. How this could be? What are the different kinds of functional dependencies which have been there with you? Let us have a look here. On register number and course code, marks have been dependent. Okay, if you want to get the marks, you are expected to take the register number of the student, and at the same time course code also. Why this could be taken into consideration? So maximum marks of a laboratory course will be 75. Maximum marks of ordinary course, I mean, let me say theory course, will be 100. So marks will be always depends upon course only. And if I would get some particular kind of marks, let me say subject one, that is let me say a DBMS, for example, a DBMS. So has got some 72 marks for a 72 marks, something like that. I have written this particular value. For whom it has been secured by, for whom this DBMS marks have been secured as 72. So therefore, you need to have some 501. For 501, so you got DBMS marks as 72, something like that. So that is why functional dependency has been dependent here. And course name is depends upon course code. Course name is depends upon course code. University people could not look into course name. They are always look into the course code only. Okay. So if university people wants to know about your where you are studying, in the sense based on your registration number, they could identify you maybe belongs to so and so college, because our college code will be one of the fields of in our so register number. Let me say so 18A1, so 1A0, so 501. So based on this particular value, people will understand you are belongs to NI. Okay, 189H. So 1A0, 501. Based on this particular value, people will understand you are studying in NIST. Okay, something like that. Every course does have its own code. So course name has been depends like that. And the course code, faculty also depends upon course code. So I am taking DBMS. DBMS does have a course code. So based on that, So my name will be always chosen that particular course. If that course code will be there, then I will take that course. If course code cannot be there, I could not take the course. Faculty name, room number is depends upon faculty name. Okay, room number is depends upon faculty name. Of course, this procedure is available in European style, but here in our Indian style, it is not available. So let us discuss in such a way. Okay, marks. Grade is depends upon marks. If you don't have any marks, you could not define the grade. You got O grade, B grade, C grade, something like that. It could be depends upon only marks. So these are different kinds of functional dependencies which are available here. So marks is the determinant and this is the determinant. Faculty name is the determinant, room number is determinant. So course code is determinant, course name is determinant. So course code is determinant, faculty name is determinant. So register number, course code collectively called as a determinant and marks is determinant. Okay, so that is why. So these are the functional dependencies which are available. Okay. Now, so let us consider fully functional dependency. What do you mean by fully functional dependency? If a fully functional dependency, when this word will be heard by you, immediately you have to remember that there must be a candidate key. There must be a candidate key. Candidate key in the sense seems like this. Any table must have two primary keys. Will be this two combination of these two primary keys will be called as a candidate key. Otherwise, a composite primary key. It must be there in our schema. Then only fully functional dependency could be available. Otherwise, there is no fully functional dependency. Okay, look at this. In a given relation, x and x and y are two attributes. Y is fully functional dependent on x if and only if it is not functional dependent on subset of x. Okay, subset, where exactly you had this particular point, subset in the sense, obviously two attributes will be enforced with the primary key, then subset will be. Register number is one set of values, course code is another set of values. Okay, so subset in the sense only register number, another subset in the sense only course code. If such kind of subset will be taken into consideration, then that could not be fully functional. So X must be, in this regard, we need to consider X must be a candidate key. Look at this. This is the situation. So register number and course code. So marks will be depends upon, just before I have given the example. So marks will be depends upon not only course code, it must also be depends upon a register number. If you get some kind of marks on a particular course for whom it has been acquired, it has been secured. So you need to know that particular value also. Okay, so that is why it is called as a fully functional dependency. Whereas partial functional dependency, one more thing, one more very important point. The point will be same. X and Y are two attributes of R, and Y will be partially dependent upon an attribute X if it is a subset of, it is depends upon subset of attribute X. If it is depends upon subset of, here, it should not be dependent. Fully dependent in the sense not functionally dependent, but here it is dependent. For example, if you consider something like this, course name, faculty name, and room number, if you consider all these things are one particular subset, let us consider register number. So register number is not fully depends upon this one, and the course code, it is fully depends upon all these things. I mean, all these values are fully depends upon this particular thing. Course name, it must be acquired from course code. Faculty name, it must be acquired from course code. Room number, it must be acquired from course code. So you could specify the course code, you could get all these three values. Whereas register number, you could not get the course name. So register number, you could not get the faculty name. Register number, you could not get the room number. Okay, so in European style, if I am the teacher for DBMS, my room number is 201. So all the people who are taking DBMS course, they will be come to my room number, that is 201. Okay, another faculty will be taken some cryptography network security, which is happened with 501 room. then the people who are taking that course, they may be moved to that particular room to take that particular course. Okay, so that is why, so room number cannot be, this room number cannot be get by this register number. So it is so partial dependent and it is full dependent. Okay, you need to understand in such a way. Then followed by transitivity. Already this transitivity is known to you in our MFCS or in our so 10th class and so on and so forth. If X is let me say a given relation R, so X, Y, Z are attributes of that particular R. X is Y is functionally depends upon X, followed by Z. Z is functional dependence on Y. Then Z is transitively depends upon X. Okay, so for example, so Y is functionally depends upon X, and Z is functionally depends upon so Y. Therefore, there must be transitivity which is being happening between so Z and X. This is called a transitive dependency, and these two are called as functional dependencies. Okay, even then the value of Z is not acquired by X, so because of transitivity, so there is a possibility to get those values. Okay, as per our example, this is our example, but based on this one, how it could be, look at this, how it could be taken into consideration. Look at this, just wait for a while. So here you could consider, so room number is depends upon faculty name, and in turn faculty name is depends upon course code. Therefore, so room number transitively depends upon course code. Room number is transitively depends upon course code. That is what you need to consider here. This is transitivity. This will be called as transitivity. Okay, transitivity in the sense, you just remember a functional dependency, Y is functional depends upon X, and then Z is functional depends upon so Y. Therefore, there must be some transitive relationship between so X and Z. This is a transitive dependency. You please remember this. These two are so functional dependency. Okay, remember this. Then followed by shall I continue, or let us continue by tomorrow, which is better for you? Because I'm going to start the normalization here at this moment. For normalization, we would like to so operate some decomposition process. So that is why, shall I continue, or shall I continue by tomorrow, which is better for you? Let me waiting for. I'm waiting for your answer. Okay. So let us consider so first normal form. What exactly first normal form? So this particular process will be taken some 30 more minutes. So 30 more minutes to be continued. If you are willing to continue in the sense, yes, 30 more minutes you have to spend with me. Okay. So up to 30 more minutes you have to spend with me. First normal form. What exactly first normal form could be taken into consideration here in the sense, a relation is said to be in first normal form if and only if two conditions are there. Condition number one, all attributes must be in the relation are atomic nature. What do you mean by atomic nature in the sense? So let us consider a register number could be taken here. Register number is just taken something like this, A18, A1, 1A0, so 501. So I could not split this particular value into further. I could mention this value for under register number. It could be always a single value. I could not able to divide this particular value into further. Whereas if I would like to take so address, there is one more attribute. So with me address. This address might be so 3-4, comma A Street, comma comma. So Guntur, let me say Macharla, MCL, comma, so Guntur district, comma. If you consider this particular attribute, you could able to divide it into many number of pieces. That piece might be so door number and the street name and the town and district and then state, and then pin code, something like that. You could able to divide into many number of pieces here. So atomic in nature in the sense, it must be always have only scalar value, only one value with that particular variable. So not like this. This is not atomic in nature. This will be atomic in nature. If you consider, so cell number, let me consider cell number or otherwise phone number. So people might be having more number of, more cell numbers are there, 944 something, 965 something, many number of cell numbers are there. All these things will be belongs to only one particular person. That particular person will be 501. So this cell number is a multi-valued attribute. So this could also not in atomic nature. Okay, it is also having more than one value. And let me give one more example, that is email. If you consider email in the sense, many people might have several number of emails. So @gmail.com, @yahoomail.com, something like this. You have many. So it's also not under atomic in nature. It could also be called as a composite. These two are composite attributes. Okay. Sorry, multi-valued attributes. I am very sorry, multi-valued attributes. All these are. So this might be, you could able to divide them into several number of pieces, either this particular attribute or this particular attribute, but you could not divide this particular value into further pieces. So that is why it is in atomic in nature, and these two are in atomic in nature. Okay. So first normal form, what exactly first normal form is stipulated to you is every attribute, the value within that particular attribute must be in atomic nature. Or second thing, I'm going for second thing. So there must not have any repeated groups. There must not have any repeated groups. Already we have seen in our tabular form example, student details, course details, and result details. Student details might have some number of values, some set of values. Course detail might have some set of values. Result details might have some other set of values. So some groups are there. Several number of 3 different types of groups are there. So you are not supposed to have such kind of groups, or you are not supposed to have either complex attribute, composite attribute, or multivalued attributes in our relation. Okay, these two kinds of things are not supposed to be there in our relation. Then such kind of relation will be called as first normal form. If any multivalued attribute will be there, if any composite attribute will be there, if any groups will be there, then that is not in first normal form. Okay, look at this particular table. Try to observe this particular table here. So this particular table does have several number of groups. All attributes are having single values only. Look at this 501 Ravi, and 501 cannot be further divided into pieces. Ravi can also not divided into pieces. So date of birth also not divided into pieces, and of course everything is not divided into pieces. So first rule is passed. Rule number 1, rule number A has been passed. But second rule, you can consider second rule. So all these 3 things will be called as one particular group, and all these 4 things will be called as another group, and all these 3 will be collectively called as another group. 3 different types of groups are there, repeated groups are there. So therefore, you have to name each and every item. You have to name this one, you have to name this one, you have to name this one. So 501, this column might have its own name, some X name. This column might have Y name. This column might have some Z name, and so on and so forth. Every column does have its own names. If such kind of definitions will be there, then that could be in first normal form. Then how could you make them? Like this. Look at this. Student details will be converted into roll number, student name, date of birth. Okay. So yes, it does have its own column name. It does have its own column name. It's also. And then course details, course code, and course name, prerequisites, duration, and date of examination, marks, and grade. Okay. So you could observe rule number 1 has been passed, rule number 1 has been through, and rule number 2 also be through. So therefore, this particular table, not this table. This table is not in first normal form. This particular table is in first normal form. Okay. In this way, you have to make them into first normal form. Okay. Now, coming to second normal form. you could observe what is the second normal form here in the sense a relation is said to be a second normal form if and only if you need to observe this particular point. If and only if it must be in a first normal form and have to specify a rule. The rule is every non-key attribute must be depends upon key attributes. Every non-key attribute must be depends upon key attribute. Okay, and there must not have any partial key and partial dependencies which are being existed with the non-key attributes and the key attributes. Look at the previous slide one more time. So here we have been defining all these column names here, but we haven't defined any key attributes, that is primary key or candidate key attributes. We just name the each and every column, that's all. We just put a name each and every column. First normal form cannot identify any key attributes or any relationships or any other things. It could be always solve that your data might have repeated groups, or whether data within the each and every cell, it does have single value or not. Only these two will be taken into consideration by first normal form. Okay. And in second normal form, you must identify the key attributes. That is your first job. This is your first job. And the second job must be job number 2. This is the first job. Job number 2 must be partial dependencies could not be existed. Okay, these two will be gets clarified in second normal form. Try to observe in the previous relation. In the previous relation, so we did not define anything here. Now I'd like to make them into pieces. So how the pieces will be: student table will be make into separate, course table will be make into separate, results table will be make into separate, and examination table will be make into separate. Everything will be divided into. So I mean, this entire database will be divided into 4 different small relations, and also have identified yes, roll number is or register number is primary key, and also identify yes, course code is a primary key, and also identified these two are the foreign keys, and here in examination table this is foreign key. It's been identified. Of course, we may be eliminate this one in third normal form. Okay, unknowingly this data will be get circled. Of course, this is not a big deal here. This is not a big deal here. Okay, this is a separate table, and this is another separate table. Previously, entire thing is same table, but here we have decomposed or divided into many number of pieces. Okay, too many number of pieces, as such as so each piece must be satisfied the rules and regulations here. Let me show you how the rules and regulations could be satisfied. Yes, we have been identified the key attributes here. Key attributes have been identified, and let us examine whether partial dependencies will be there with the tables or not. In student table, so student name and date of birth will be depends upon only. If you specify the student register number, you could get complete details of that particular student, right? So therefore, all non-key attributes are depends on key attributes. Yes, it has been done. No partial dependency in the sense. Always you need to remember only one thing. If you look into partial dependency, so your partial dependency must be always existed when you have a candidate key, when you have a composite primary key. Okay, 2 keys will be participated as a primary key, then it could be considered as a partial dependency or fully dependency. Both will be gets existed when the candidate key will be there. In our tables, we don't have any candidate key. In our tables, we don't have any candidate key. So here only one primary key. Here these two are so foreign keys. Foreign keys cannot be candidate keys. These will be refer the values of student and course. And examination, this table also refer the values of course here. So therefore, so all these 2 different types of rules and regulations have been satisfied, completely satisfied. Now, come to third normal form. Okay, third normal form should be defined something like this. It must be in a second normal form. Look at this: if and only if and only if. It must be in second normal form, and there must not have any transitive dependency between non, it is not non-key attribute and key attributes. Transitive dependency in the sense, you must be taking the consideration X and Y and Z, three different types of attributes are there. Then X must be a key attribute here. If you want to define the transitive dependency, X must be a key attribute here. Y is functionally depends upon so X, and then Z is functional depends upon Y, and therefore there is a transitivity between so X and Z here. So therefore, such kind of dependencies must not be existed. If such kind of dependencies must be existed, then such kind of dependencies must be eliminated by decompose, by break them into pieces. Okay, look at this result table and marks table. You please go through a previous thing. So if you observe results table and a marks table, these two, examination and marks table, so examination table and results table, you could observe register number and course code. So on register number and course code, marks will be dependent. There is no problem. On a register number, you could observe these are the dependencies. On a register number, comma, so course code, so marks will be dependent. Okay, marks will be dependent. But on marks, grade will be dependent. Grade must be always depends on marks only. If you have say, 82 marks, then what is your grade? If you got only 30 marks, what is your grade? So that is the only point. That is not depends upon your number or your course number. Okay, course code. So therefore, on marks, so your grade will be dependent. Grade will be dependent. Okay, so here you could observe this is X and this is Y and this is Y and this is Z. Therefore, there might be a transfer dependency between so register number, comma, course code, and the grade here. Okay, grade here. There must be a transfer dependency. Okay, you need to eliminate this transfer dependency. So therefore, you have to consider this particular table. This particular table, result table must be taken into consideration. That result table will be divided into as many number of pieces until so this transitivity will be eliminated. How this could be eliminated? This is the way to eliminate. So you have to divide your results table into two different types of things. One is results and second one is marks, grade. Results might be having register number and what is this course code and marks. And this marks will be depends upon upper bound or lower bound. If upper bound is 100 to 90, it will be A. And of course, you have to define your own grade marks. Okay, what is the upper bound and lower bound? You have to define your own. Based on that, you have to define the grade here. Like this, the marks result table will be divided into pieces here. Okay. Now, after confirming all these things, whether elimination of anomalies, inconsistencies, everything will be eliminated or not. Let us see. Okay, I have given the same name for one more time. So it is not actually taken into consideration. It is not actually taken into consideration. So it is my topographical mistake. And here it is also my topographical mistake. This one is a topographical mistake, and this is also topographical mistake. Don't be considered like this because it is primary key. CP01, DB01 could not be available for two times. So I'm sorry for this particular thing. Without saying into the matter, I have given here. Don't take into consideration of this. However, you can consider. I wanted to introduce student details. What is the roll number of student name and date of birth? Only you may be enter our data into student table. You need not to open or you need not to touch all these four. Okay, you need not to touch all these four. I wanted to enter course. I would like to introduce one more course in my institution. So you may be open this particular course table and have to introduce that particular course details. Okay, no need to go ahead with all this. And I wanted to announce results to the people. So this is the way to results of that particular students. And I would like to announce when my examinations are going to be conducted. Only exam table will be taken into consideration for 501. So examination will be takes. I'm sorry, here it is not 501. So it is DB01. DB01 examination will be so and so. CP01. So examination will be so and so date. And then J101 examination will be so and so date. Okay, I'm sorry for this. Let me adjust everything. So in the next class. So okay, exam course code and everything will be adjusted here. Then it could not be taken into consideration for updating because this is a stipulated or constant kind of table, and it could not be updated each and every time. So therefore, you may be eliminate all kinds of anomalies. You need not to enter if any student is being joined. If any student is being joined, you need not to enter course details. You need not enter results details. You need not enter examination details. Only student details will be entered into this particular table. If examination announcements will be there, go ahead and announce examination dates. Okay, if your results are going to announce, only take this particular table and announce the results. That's all. You need not to go ahead with all other details. Okay, so therefore, if you are supposed to operate third normal form on a particular setup, a particular schema, a particular big database, then after third normal form, so you get some decompositions and you get several number of pieces. All these pieces must be satisfy the conditions of so your anomalies. Anomalies will be gets eliminated. Inconsistency gets eliminated, and then what is that? Unaccessed data also be eliminated here. Everything will be gets eliminated. So therefore, it is much efficient to enter the data into so-called so splitting of these tables or decomposed tables. So that is why third normal form, up to third normal form, if you operate on the schema, yes, you could get a very good refined kind of database set. Within that particular set, yes, you could enter in a proper way without having any inconsistencies. Okay. By tomorrow, I'd like to show you how these things will be. Tomorrow, I'd like to show how these things could be entered into the particular thing and how the data will be entered with the first tabulated form, and after decomposition, how the data could be entered. Let me show you everything by tomorrow. Okay. So this is the normalization up to third normal form. So we need to explain first, second, third normal form in the same class. So it's very important, and I'll give you, after completion of this particular normalization, I'll give you one assignment to you. In the similar fashion, you have to decompose everything and you have to identify. You may be discussed among yourselves, and you have to identify the decomposition process and how the decomposition process will be done. So you have to do it. So I'll give you some 1 or 2 days as a due date for you. Then after that, I would like to enter, or I'd like to upload the answer for that one also. Okay. So this is what the class for today. So still how many people have attended? Okay. Only 12 people have attended.